This is a journey into the Algarve's tales of the enchanted Moors. It's a rereading of Athaide Oliveira's anthology by me, André Mesquita. In the late 1800s, a local academic, working in a register office in Lolé, documented the tales of the enchanted Moorish women of the region. Transmitted orally, the tales capture the mythology of spirits and spectres that describe the phantasms of the times. Athaide Oliveira travelled from town to town, collecting the stories of personal encounters and historical tales, from town centre gatherings to front room afternoon teas. It is clear to him that these tales are historically incorrect. Trapped in a twilight between origin stories and local identity, the spirit of the Islamic women that were abandoned by their male custodians during Christian conquest, only to inhabit modernity to free themselves from the enchantment, is more than Christian reconciliation. In truth, the time travel potential of these stories is immense, especially when linked to the landscape. A farmer refers to a set of stones as the Moorish house. That stone is now in possession of our parish priest. You are mistaken, replied Athaide. That stone was part of a dolmen and therefore dates back to an earlier period. Earlier than the Moors? Asked the man. Certainly. That can't be. Why? Before the Moors there was only the Ebros in Asia. It was not uncommon to misunderstand the ley lines of the land, or to be unaware of the meaning of tradition. Yet, the tales of the Moors and the enchantments of the Algarve beckon us to reconnect to the landscape and ecosystems, forging new identities that honor the past while embracing an harmonious future. When we arrive at an oak savanna, the forest isn't always as noticeable as in other ecosystems. Only through a process of mindful walking can we realize when we are in the thick of it. First, we leave the exotic plants of the urban environment, then the car as we reach the scrub. And as we go deep into the land, the path crumbles under the limestone crust, and we are gently lulled into sync. A centenary carrot tree opens the gate. A temporal portal guides us towards a future where nature and culture thrive together. Around us, the cycads hum an eternal mantra. We've arrived. The forest is short. A combination of Portuguese, holm and cork oaks pepper the northern slopes of the valley. Most of it is gone, and the clear land has been left abandoned. But there are signs of recuperation. Packs of Egyptian mongoose leave trails, and boars clear the forest floors. The little Portuguese oak stands quietly, an old fellow. The carrot tree, by comparison, grew much faster. Big enough to be embraced by three of us, it holds back a boulder that rolled down from the rocky outcrop on top of the hill. It must have been an historical event, one that cannot be witnessed by human temporality. The temporal scope of this realm is layered, and we are but little speckles of dust that appear only for an instant. Now, in the tales of the Moors, and in the evidence of the people that lived in this ecosystem long before it was a nation, but for all of us, the overwhelming complexity of nature remains. In Athaide's stories, trees, rocks, springs, and caves all have a magic importance. It was a different Algarve they lived in. No roads, no electricity, a 30-minute walk to the nearest house, a half day to the nearest town, the ghostly phantasms of their existence manifested through the awe of nature and of the natural world. A little boy shared with him, "I don't believe in witches or enchanted moors, that's for sure, but what I saw under that carob tree, it was so frightening. I started to cry, and my father didn't insist anymore. And have you ever seen that moor again? Never again did I approach that tree, even though I was 14 at the time, and 50 today." To unpick the sentiment, we have to delve deeper. From the forest, the trickle of water can be heard beyond the terraced slope. Fields of time now conquer the alluvial smallholds, brambles and canes the creek. Here and there, wild mint and pennyroyal. But we are still in the realm of the living. We must seek the dark if we are aiming to go deeper. The Mercedes Creek snakes his way through the valley. In Athaide's tales, the creek ran full in winter, so full it cut out the nearby village from the local town. To ancient Celts, waterways represent a gateway to the underworld, an emergent space where life materializes or succumbs, where birth and rebirth manifests through the cycles of nature. The creek that dries and comes to life again with seasonal rains, the snake that goes dormant and returns with its new skin, the power to cleanse and start anew. Walking backwards towards the spring, the water undoes its melody, trickling down like music. Here again, a gatekeeper. A beautiful Moorish woman, like a Selkie, guards the spring. The origin of the water is unclear. At a foothill of another outcrop, a shallow hole reveals an ever-changing stream curling up on itself. A two-way mirror, a place where little Muslim boys with red hats disappear, and where Islamic princesses climb out of. One tale tells of two boys on their way from fetching water, when a beautiful woman invites them to help themselves to some figs spread out to dry on a palm mat. The older boy acted wise and refused, while the young one approached the mat and took a handful of figs, thanking the woman for her kindness and hurrying his steps to catch up with his mate. On approaching, he delved into his pockets but found pieces of gold instead of figs. Both were very surprised. The younger said, "Your loss?" "Who gave you those pieces?" asked the older one. "They are the figs I took from the mat." Amazed, the older one turned back immediately along the same path until he reached the place where he found the young woman. She smirked and said, "Is it figs you want? Do you want figs? You should have accepted a kind word when it was offered to you." And as fast as a lightning she disappeared. Each retelling of the tale unearths a layer of meaning that resonates in today's world. Guarding the spring is a meaningful task. It is guarding life. It is caring for the well-being of others. Such is the capturing of water in cisterns, the caring for trees, the laboring in community, and emancipating women and animals. Curiously, the spring does not run all winter long anymore. The two-way mirror has collapsed. While the land of the living and the underworld were separate, the emergent space now trickles. The carob tree, ancient and secretive, is losing its leaves. There is not enough water to see it through the scorch of the summer, and will probably not last another decade. To reverse this, we must face disenchantment together. Let go of the ghosts and learn to inhabit nature again. The weave of the future is made by many hands. Like strands of life, it connects the present to many entities of the past and the future, living side by side in singularity. May the work begin.